In this video, we'll be finding the derivative of inverse trigonometric functions. And we'll be using a few formulas here. And the thing you want to notice here is how similar these are. If you look at the formula for the derivative of arc sine and arc cosine, notice the form. Here u is a function of x. So notice for arc sine and arc cosine, difference here is just a negative. For the arctangent, derivative 1 over 1 plus u squared times the derivative of u. Cotangent basically the same except for the negative. And then on the arcsecant and the arc cosecant, again very similar except for the difference is the factor of a negative 1. And I want to look at just one thing here. You're given formulas and you're asked to memorize formulas. Sometimes you also should know how to derive them. So I'm going to look at y equal inverse sine. You could also use the arc sine here. You see the notation arc sine of x. But what I'm going to do here, just to show you how this one is derived, take the sine of both sides. You take the sine of sine inverse. That's one of the properties of inverses. Take the sine of the right side, that just gives me x. And just so it matches up with the formulas, let me make this a u. So let's say this is u. And take the sine of this side. Also, this will give me u. And then I'm going to take the derivative of both sides with respect to x. So on the left side, this would be, derivative of sine will be cosine of y, because y is a function of x, so this would be y prime here. And on the right side, u is a function of x, so I'm going to use, I just put u prime here. So when I write u prime, I'm saying that's the same thing as derivative of u with respect to x. So then I solve for y prime, and again y prime, that's just a short form for derivative of y with respect to x. I'm going to divide by cosine y, so this will be u prime divided by cosine of y. And I know that from this identity, cosine squared of any angle, in this case y, plus sine squared, that same angle is always equal to 1. So if I solve this for cosine, get cosine of y, cosine squared of y, will equal to 1 minus sine squared of y. And then I take the square root, so on the left side I get cosine, and over here I get the square root of that. And keep in mind that sine of y is u, so this is just 1 minus u squared under the radical. So this tells me then the derivative with respect to x of y, which is of course sine inverse of u, does equal to u prime over the square root of 1 minus u squared. And again, u prime is du over dx. And that's how you derive that form. Do the same thing with the others. You can also use the right triangle. But for right now, we're just going to apply the formulas. So there they are again. So let's look at the first one then. We want to find the derivative with respect to x. So this 2x here represents the u. So it's 1 here, and then it's the derivative of u, which is 2x. And then it's the square root of 1 minus u squared. Again, u in this example is 2x, so if I square that, I get 4x squared. derivative of 2x, and there's a 1 up here, is 2. So I get 2 over the square root of 1 minus 4x squared. So that's the derivative of the first one. For the next one, we're using the same formula because we're dealing with arc sine. So this will be f prime. And got the 2 here instead of the 1. There's 2 times the 1. And then it's the derivative of x minus 1, which is 1. And then in the denominator is the square root, 1 minus, and then it's u squared. In this case, u is x minus 1. So just do simplification here, this is going to come out to a 2. And then in the denominator, I'm going to have, under the radical there, have 1 minus, and then we square the x minus 1. We get x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then distribute the negative here, we get negative x squared plus 2x, and a minus 1 and a 1 cancel. So this simplifies under the radical here to 2x minus x squared. That's the derivative of the second one. Okay, for the third one here, f of x equals arc of 5x. So refer to this. Arctan of u, derivative of that is 1 over 1 plus u squared times the derivative of u with respect to x. So the derivative here then is 1 over 1 plus u is 5x, square it, you get 25x squared times the derivative of u, that's 5. So the final answer is 5 over 1 plus 25x squared. Now we have secant, arcsecant. There's a formula, derivative of arcsecant of u, where u again is a function of x, is 1 over absolute value of u times the square root of u squared minus 1. So the derivative of this one then will be 1 over, and here it's the absolute value of whatever u is. In this case, u is e to the 2x, but e to the 2x is never negative. So I don't need absolute values there. It's going to be that. And then it's the square root. This will be u squared. So e to the 2x squared will give me e to the 4x minus 1. And then it's times the derivative of u with respect to x. So derivative of e to the 2x is e to the 2x. But again, here you have to use the chain rule for this one. Derivative of 2x is 2. We got e to the 2x, e to the 2x, that cancels. So that leaves me on top with 2 times 1, which will be 2, over square root e to the 4x minus 1. So here's your answer for this one. And then at number 5, all they did here was they put 2 separate expressions together. So here they have the arc cosine, and then here they have a regular radical expression. So the derivative, just take the derivative of the first one, that's an arc cosine. So that's just 1 on top, it has a 2 there, so you just put the 2 there. And then on the denominator, and this is one has the minus. This is 1 minus, and the u here is 2x, so we square that, we get 4x squared. And then it's times using the chain rule. Derivative of 2x is 2. Got that on top. And then for the next one, let's think of this as 1 minus 4x squared to the 1/2. So we take the derivative of this using the general power rule, bring the 1/2 over. So it'll be 1/2. And then we take the derivative, subtract 1 from the exponent first, so 1/2 minus 1 is negative 1/2. Change rules, so I take the derivative of what's inside here in the parentheses. This will give me minus 8 x. So we just simplify here. This is minus 4 over the square root of 1 minus 4x squared. Multiply here by the minus 8. This will be a minus 4x. And let's bring this to the minus 1/2. So let's bring it to the denominator and write it as the square root of 1 minus 4x squared. Then we can simplify. We have the same denominator here. So this will be the square root 1 minus 4x squared. And then on top we'll have minus 4 minus 4x. So we take out a minus 4. And that'll leave us with, in parentheses, 1 plus x. And this is your derivative for the last one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.